It's a weird situation. So my 26 male best friend is Derek, 26 male. We've been best friends since we've been 8 years old. However, he lived with my family during high school and college due to some family issues. My parents call him their bonus kid, and we are brothers at this point, so I don't trust his girlfriend of 3 years, Nicole, 25. She's always just giving me bad vibes. She lies about little things for no reason. Unfortunately, she and Derek have a lot of similar experiences and hobbies, and he's head over heels for her. I've always been respectful to her, but I'm always looking out for Derek. Unfortunately, my girlfriend thinks he's blind with love. So Nicole is now 8 months pregnant. Derek comes to me asking me to be the godfather, legal guardian. Derek works a dangerous job, so it wouldn't be crazy for something to happen to him. Nicole was on board with this too. I told him I would do that if he'd get a DNA test done first. He was shocked and asked why. About 7 months ago, Derek and Nicole broke up for a couple of days. She claimed nothing happened with anyone else and just sat home and cried. But why not make sure? Why would it be an issue if she had nothing to hide? But my most significant reason is what Nicole did with her sister. So Nicole's sister had a kid. She claimed her boyfriend was the dad. He wasn't, and she knew he wasn't. Nicole lied straight to her sister's boyfriend for years. So Nicole knew the whole time that her niece wasn't his kid. Everything came out eventually. The dude left, and Nicole blamed the ex-boyfriend for not loving his kid regardless. I told her it wasn't his kid and she knew it. When I called Nicole out, she said it wasn't her place to tell him. Ever since that incident, I've kept her at arm's length and would rather Derek break up with her. Derek and I have had deep talks about that, but he defends Nicole's actions. I asked him if the kid wasn't his, would he stick around? He said no. Hence my pushing for a DNA test. Derek blew up at me, saying I'm forcing him into something he doesn't want. I said I'm not helping raise some other dude's kid, and that if the DNA test is such an issue, then pick someone else to be the godfather. And he can tell Nicole I'm the one pushing for this, and the blame can be on me. My parents are calling me an idiot. My girlfriend agrees that every kid should be given a DNA test at the hospital at birth to avoid issues, and we don't understand why that isn't a law. She's on my side with everything. Am I the idiot? You're not just being asked to be this kid's godfather, which doesn't really have any legal status. You're being asked to take legal responsibility for the kid if something should happen to Derek, right? So, not the idiot. That's your decision. You're not pushing Derek to do anything by putting a condition on your decision, and especially given Nicole's history. I think a DNA test is in order, but that's Derek's decision. He can accept your conditions for wanting to take legal responsibility for the kid or find someone else. You are the idiot. Don't be the godfather either way. Even if the test proved that your friend was the father, it wouldn't change your mind about Nicole. You dislike her, and so you're hoping this test will make them break up. But he gets to decide for himself who he wants to be with. It's not up to you. You've already expressed your concerns, so now back off and let him handle his relationship. My take on this as well. He should decline the offer if he doesn't like the child's mother. This role should be for someone who respects both parents. OP, you suspect Nicole of having a fling 7 months ago when she got pregnant, but she's now 8 months pregnant. Your math doesn't make sense. If you and your girlfriend decide to have a kid, will you do a DNA test if the kid is yours? This is your issue, not Derek's. You're asking him to do something he clearly doesn't want to do, and it isn't really your place. That's on him 100%. If he believes this is his kid, knowing everything he knows, then that's really his choice. Plus, I kinda get the sneaking suspicion that you're pushing for this because you want the girlfriend gone, and this would get it done for you. Update. Thanks everyone for your responses. The test cost $159. I called our local hospital and even offered to pay for the test, so Derek doesn't have to. I talked with him again and showed him my post. He's going to get a blood test done right now. It sounds like Nicole isn't fighting him that hard. So I, 24 female, and my boyfriend, 26, have been dating for 9 months, and recently we celebrated my birthday. We went to my favorite restaurant, and after we went to a bar. I enjoyed it. I drove because he had a car accident the other day, and his car's in the shop. While I was ordering drinks and he was in the bathroom, a stranger bought me a shot. I thanked him but told him I was in a relationship and he backed off. Then my boyfriend came back and asked where I got the shot, and I answered. The guy was halfway across the bar by that point, but my boyfriend still got angry and accused me of flirting for free drinks. I told him that was silly, and he just thought I was pretty and was respectful. He just scoffed and said okay, and we continued our night. He gets progressively more intoxicated and starts bringing up the man who bought me a shot and asked me if I told him I'd sleep with him for a free drink. I told him no, I would never, and we didn't even interact besides telling him thank you, but I was in a relationship. He called me a liar, and men don't do that unless they think that witch is an easy target, and then tells me it's because I'm dressed like one. I'm wearing a bodysuit and a skirt, maybe a little cleavage, but not anything indecent. I told him if he didn't stop, I was going to leave, and he would have to get an Uber home. He kept saying that we wouldn't be having this conversation if I wasn't so flirty. I told him again if he kept talking to me like that, I would leave him here. He scoffed and told me I wouldn't do that because I know better. I got up, grabbed my purse, and told him to Uber back to his apartment because he wasn't welcome at mine. As I was driving home, completely sober by the way, I hadn't even taken the shot, my boyfriend did, and I was nursing a mojito the whole time. He called and texted me and said I had better come back before he gets angry, so I turned my phone off. When I turned my phone back on, I had 53 missed calls from mainly him, but also our friends and his mom. She went and picked him up, and almost 300 texts were calling me an idiot and saying he could have died and I shouldn't have left him, and even some calling me a slut and a bad girlfriend. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, OP, but please break up with this toxic, shameless, manipulative idiot ASAP. He accuses you of flirting for free drinks and calls you names and other things. It's incredibly harmful and disgusting. Also, his friends and mom are idiots for harassing you constantly, even though it's your boyfriend's fault. I attended bar for several years and have seen this situation play out several times, almost verbatim to how you described it. Of course, the girls could have been dressed in parkas and sweatpants, but it would have always come back to that topic. I've even had to keep one of the boyfriends from trying to fight the drink buyer, a regular of mine who was a super nice dude. He's a grown dude. You were well within your right to leave. I hope he's your ex-boyfriend now. I'd dump him hard after this display of insecurity and misogyny. She went and picked him up? That's hilarious. It's not hard to imagine what kind of woe is me stories he told his mommy on that drive home. Lose this jerk, block his number, and feel grateful you only lost 9 months of your life. He's an insecure idiot and mama's boy. Red flags, darling. I, 22 female, went to a wedding recently for my friend's 22 female cousin. My friend brought me along for emotional support since she was forced to go. My friend didn't like her cousin because, simply put, the cousin was horrible to my friend. She would make fun of my friend's appearance, which included anything from weight, hair, skin, etc., despite my friend being drop-dead gorgeous. This has led to having major self-esteem issues. On top of that, there's a 10-year age gap between my friend and her cousin, 32 female, meaning it was literally, at one point, an adult bullying a child. My friend's cousin is also awful. She's a mean girl who gossips and fights with everyone. However, my friend's parents believe that family is forever no matter what, so she was dragged to the wedding, meaning I got dragged along as well. The ceremony happened, and we moved to the reception. Everything went surprisingly smoothly until I started dancing with one of the groomsmen on the dance floor. The bride didn't like this. I know because she came up and asked me what I thought I was doing. I was confused and asked her what she meant. She asked me why the heck I was all over him, meaning the groomsman. I didn't know why she was upset about it. After all, she had a new husband whom she should be celebrating with. My friend intervened after she noticed the bride talking to me angrily. The bride, her cousin, turned to my friend and asked why she had brought this cow to her wedding. I wasn't too surprised given the stories I've heard about her, but that still stung. My friend told her to back off and not to say that to me. The bride said I was a witch for dancing with the groomsmen. My friend explained that the groomsman I was dancing with was her ex-boyfriend. I turned to the bride and told her that she had just married another man, so it wasn't like she wanted her ex-boyfriend back. She then told me that the chances were still high and that I had no right to put my hands on him. I laughed and said, "Oh, so you're the one who's actually a witch." After that, the bride lost it, screaming at me, cussing at me, crying while her husband was trying to escort her away. And all the while, I was laughing my head off. I had a few drinks then. Finally, my friend escorted me away back to our table. Now, I feel like I may be the idiot for saying that to the bride at the reception, as much as I hate her. According to my friend, she's been getting calls and texts from angry family members, asking the both of us how we could ruin the bride's big day. So, am I the idiot? I'm sorry. Did the bride at her wedding say that the chances were high that she'd get back together with the groomsman ex-boyfriend? It sounds like you just called a spade a spade. Well, not exactly the most mature or polite. Not the idiot. New husband patting her arm and going, There, honey, you're completely right. You could get back together with Chad. I'm here and I support you." Holy crap. OP, I think you found the only circumstance on earth where I would say calling the bride names doesn't make you the idiot. Well done. Tell your buddy to put her phone in a drawer until this blows over. For dog's sake, she's getting married and still wants to keep her ex at arm's reach. Also, bullies suck, and your friend's family are a bunch of huge idiots for allowing her cousin to treat her like that ever since she was a child. I feel sorry for your friend getting crappy messages from family, but that's more about the family than what you did. I think the most unfortunate person in this scenario is the husband, the poor man. Background: I have a fairly successful real estate company. About 15 years ago, I was engaged and she cheated on me. And following that, I changed my will so that my sisters and my nieces and nephews would inherit what I have after I passed, because I decided never to have a partner ever again. My sisters only knew I changed my will because I told them this while drinking at a New Year's Eve party in 2007. About 6 years ago, I met Anne. We ended up in the same ward after having cancer treatments and started talking, and things went from there. I'm not ashamed to admit I think she's the bee's knees. We've been together ever since. My family is aware of this, but has been unwelcoming to Anna for reasons that have never been clear. There's no significant age difference. We're all white, no religious issues, etc. However, I figured it out recently when one of my sisters approached me and asked whether I wanted input on which college her eldest was going to. I was confused as to why it involved me, and she explained that, of course, I would be paying for it. I was shocked and asked why she thought this, and she explained that I'd said I would leave everything to them 15 years ago. I laughed and pointed out that I was 24 and heartbroken at the time, and my sister and her husband were well off and should be supporting their own child, not asking me to. My sister went off about how Anna was stealing me and my money and assets away from the family, and how we have no children, so I should support my sister's children. I said that of course Anna would inherit from me, as she's my spouse, and that my sister needs to take her demanding attitude elsewhere. Not to mention that at 39 and 37, Anna and I can have kids yet, and whether we did was none of my sister's business. We haven't spoken since, and my other sister's mad at me for leading them on for 15 years. I feel like I might be at fault here, because I can see how they could assume that. But also, why did they take my intoxicated word for it and never bring it up since? Especially as I now know that neither has saved for their kids to go to college because they were relying on me to pay. I now understand why they don't like Anna also. Anna's very upset about the whole situation and blames herself for driving a wedge between my sisters and me. Am I the idiot here? Edited to add, I first developed cancer when I was 27, went into remission at 29, and it came back when I was 32. And I had surgery when I met Anna, but there is a good chance it'll come back So I'm assuming this is why my sister didn't plan for their kids' college. Not the idiot. They would have inherited it if you had died. You never stipulated that you'd cover college, etc. for your nieces and nephews. They've walked around for 15 years, hoping you'll drop dead so they get money to pay for things they haven't accounted for themselves. Wow, your family's a bunch of gold diggers. This is not Anna's fault at all. You said you would never be with anyone after a hard breakup at 24 years old while drinking. How did they get from the idea of inheritance to you paying for college? Trying to get rid of Anna to make sure they get your money? Your family is entitled and horrible. Obviously, the plan was for OP to die before the kids reached adulthood. However, not only did he have the poor manners to keep living longer than they hoped, he changed his will. So not only do they want OP dead sooner than later, they don't want OP to be happy while they're alive. They sound lovely. You aren't their personal piggy bank. If someone said that to me while they had been drinking with a freshly broken heart, I completely dismiss it. Then to be so greedy that they automatically dislike Anna because it means they won't get an inheritance shows more about them than you. You have a right to be happy. They're not entitled to your money. I suggest you talk to a lawyer because if you leave them nothing, they'll probably try to contest your will. My girlfriend and I, both 22, have been together for about a year. During that time, neither of us have gone on vacation with our friends, and we haven't met each other's friends. We live together and have a dog that she already had before we got together. She and her friends planned on going on vacation, but decided they weren't due to the funds and the inability to find a time that would work for them. I'm going back to my hometown to visit my parents next week, which we've known for months. Our dog was going to stay with her at ours because my parents don't like dogs. A few days ago, she came home from her friend's house, super excited about something, and told me that she and her friends had spontaneously booked a vacation for next week. It was cheap and they all had managed to get it off of work somehow. I asked her if she'd forgotten about my plans, and she said no, that I'll have to bring the dog with me. I said no, she's not my dog, and my parents won't want her to come, which started an argument. I ended up saying it was utterly inconsiderate of her to book the vacation without asking me, and that if she had any sense, she'd cancel it. She told me she couldn't do that without losing all the money, and that she shouldn't have to ask for permission to go on a trip with her friends. She left last night in a massive strop and went and stayed with her friend. My friends have said I'm an idiot for how I handled it, but I don't think I am. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The issue isn't her needing permission to go. She had a commitment to look after the dog, and she should have checked first. I think the bigger problem is that instead of figuring out how to solve the problem, she just walked out and went to stay with one of her friends. So many warning signs here. She knew the plan before she booked her last-minute vacay with the girls, including that there was an issue with pet care at your parents, since they don't like dogs, which is totally understandable. It sounds like she just expected you to cave and is throwing a strop that you didn't. This makes me think that this isn't the first time she's abused her power in the relationship to manipulate you. It might be worth thinking about the balance between you two and if it's serving you well anymore. I, female 32, have been dating my boyfriend, 36, for 9 months. He has 2 little children who love going out to eat. We go out once a week, and each time he happens to forget his credit card to make a payment. I'd obviously end up paying since we had the kids with us, but honestly, it left me broke this month and the month before. I just received my payment for my second job, part-time. We agreed to go out together with the kids, and I even sent him a text reminding him not to forget his credit card. He laughed it off. We ordered dinner at the restaurant, and he let the kids order lots of new stuff on the menu, which was pricey. Before we started eating, I mentioned his credit card to ensure he didn't forget it. He looked at me shocked, and then started searching his pockets for a while. He then looked at me in a sorry way and said, "Guess I forgot it in the other pair of jeans that I thought I was going to wear," and then asked me to foot the bill just this time. The food was on the table, but I didn't even get a bit. I grabbed my stuff and just got up. He freaked out, asking where I was going. I told him I wouldn't be paying this time again and to enjoy his dinner with the kids. Then I walked out. He called me later and absolutely lost it on me. He said he couldn't believe I'd walk and leave him and the kids in this situation. I said I wouldn't pay for the kids' food every time. It's unfair. He said he forgot. Forgot. He yelled like that. And that I didn't show sympathy for him and the kids, and that he had to cancel and leave with the kids hungry, since he couldn't pay right then and there. We got into an argument, and he's been mad at me since then, saying things like how he needs to look at how I'm treating the kids specifically, and how I was willing to let them go hungry with my selfishness. Am I the idiot? Once is an accident. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times makes a pattern. 36 times means you're the idiot, and you need to do a reality check about this relationship. I mean, I have a friend who loses his debit card constantly, but he just Venmos his share or does grab the bill next time. Right? If he had his phone to call OP, she could have asked him to transfer the money then, or paid OP back after each earlier time. If someone was truly forgetful but always paid me back within a couple of days, I wouldn't worry about it too much. OP, he's been manipulating you weekly for 9 months to pay for dinner for him and his kids. Why do you even agree to do weekly nights out if you can't afford them, and he's never offered to pay? Are you serious? You know he didn't forget. He knows he didn't forget. And everyone listening to this knows he didn't forget. Fool you once, shame on them. Fool you multiple times, then you're the fool who keeps falling for the same trick. Why are you with this guy? Holy smokes. Interestingly, he says you made the kids go hungry. If he genuinely forgot his credit card, wouldn't the simple solution be for him to go home, get the card, and return to the restaurant? That you're not paying means the kids go hungry is proof that he had no intention of paying. It's proof he didn't forget. You were always his credit card. He's also a crap parent for not budgeting to feed his kids. I'd be tempted to just ghost him and after a couple of weeks finally tell him, sorry, I forgot to tell you it's over. But I'm petty and spiteful. All of this after only 9 months, and you've already spent the last 2 months broke because of it? So basically, he started financially abusing you after 7 months. Sweetie, you need to dump this loser. He will bleed you dry for the rest of your life and belittle you. Run like you're trying to qualify for the Olympics. Some background. My parents got divorced when I was 12 years old. My mom moved on quickly and married her husband, Frank, within 1 year. Frank has a daughter, Alicia, who's 2 years younger. They moved in together shortly after, so I lived half with them and half with my dad. Towards the end of high school, despite the custody technically being 50-50, I stayed with my dad most of the time. I also have 2 older biological siblings, so I didn't spend as much time with Alicia. Alicia and I were always cool, but never incredibly close. Nothing against her. I wasn't looking for a new sibling, and as you can imagine, I had my hesitations about Frank. Anyways, Alicia got engaged recently and is planning a wedding for this June on what just so happens to be my 30th birthday. Having a mid-June birthday, this doesn't offend or shock me. It's always wedding season, so I've spent several birthday weekends at weddings. It just is what it is. So when my mom called me to tell me, she knew the timing wasn't ideal but made a joke, at least you'll have a free party on your birthday. I told her that I had a Euro trip planned with my girlfriend that week. We've been planning it for quite some time before Alicia got engaged. My mom and Frank both told me that I needed to reschedule it because a family event comes before a vacation. I responded by saying I wish her the best, but she's not exactly my family, and I'm going to spend my 30th how I want. I will contribute some cash to her honey fund, but that's it. They were both really mad at me, and Alicia reached out to me, apologizing about the date, but it was the only time that they could get the venue they wanted. I told her no sweat, and I hope she had a blast. She then begged me to come and said I mean a lot to her, as I'm the only step-sibling she had time to bond with, which caught me off guard because I never considered us close. I told her sorry, but my mind was made up. She seemed really sad and eventually hung up. Since then, my mom has been begging me to change my mind, and Frank said that I'm being a huge idiot since he helped raise me, and I should be there for my sister's wedding. I laughed and said I wouldn't call him a father figure, and she's not my sister. That set him off more. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. If you were that close, she would have known you were planning a big birthday trip. Considering that you're not a part of the wedding party, you have zero obligation to attend, no matter how much they beg. You've already made plans and laid out money you likely can't get back. You shouldn't have any reservations about having fun on your birthday, and you can always send a nice gift. I don't understand how people expect others to have sibling feelings toward their parents' SO's children. In some cases, they may feel family affection towards the step-parent and their children, and in many other cases, the relationship is more of roommates. However, a parent's marriage to a person with children doesn't obligate the children to have affection for each other. You have to love the family first crowd that puts no thought into what you, their family, might be planning for themselves. And no, a party does not trump your vacation plans. Your mom is showing how she favors one kid over another. Who the heck says, at least you'll get a free party to their kid? How's it a free party for you when it's someone else's party? Go on your trip, enjoy your birthday, and don't let anyone guilt you into caving. My grandmother recently passed away, and I was the sole benefactor of her will. She wasn't a rich woman, but she was comfortable enough, and she left me her house, car, and savings. My father is her only child, but he'd made it clear early on, when the will was being written up, that he didn't want anything from her will, and to give it to me, which she did. I have an older brother who I haven't seen in 5 years. The family disowned him for the crap he did, which included stealing from various members of the family and other stuff. He and his then girlfriend had a toddler son when I last saw them, but honestly, they had no interest in him being around our family in the first place and would often use him as a bartering chip against my parents. His girlfriend, who's his ex, apparently now reached out to me on social media the day after the funeral and was all sweet and called me babes, which, ew, we're not friends. To sum it up, she asked when the will was being read so she could come. I asked her why she'd be coming, and she said to find out her son's share of the inheritance. I was beyond shocked at the audacity of this witch, and I told her as much, stating that there was nothing in the will for him, and it had already been read to get the funeral plan she'd set out in it. She was angry at this and demanded to know why he'd not been included in the will, and asked who'd gotten the things in the will. I pointed out how she'd not acted like family, and my brother had been disowned. So really, how could she think he'd be in the will? I also told her I had gotten most of the stuff, which was a mistake on my part, but whatever. She began to demand that I split it with him, stating that the nice house was much too big for a single 21-year-old girl, and how I didn't need it as much as her, as she has a child to take care of, and how I was being selfish and should sign it over to her, or that I should give her a cut of the money for my nephew's future, and that it was my responsibility as his aunt. I told her no and to not contact me again. I heard she's talking on social media about how I've stolen her son's future and food from his mouth and a roof from over his head. I won't lie, it's stressing me, and I'm starting to feel guilty. I don't care about her. She can go curl up in a gutter for all I care, for what she's put my parents through years ago. But I do feel guilty for my nephew. He's only a kid, and none of this is his fault. But I have doubts on if anything I give her for him would really trickle down to him. So, am I the idiot? Good God, the sense of entitlement in that one. You don't need a house because of your age, and you don't have the kids. She needs to kick rocks. You are not the idiot. You need to ignore all text. Don't answer anything, even if they accuse you of doing horrible things. Block from Facebook, and maybe even take a hiatus from it. If they aren't in the will, there's nothing else. If they find out when the will is read, they'll do whatever they can to delay or cause problems. Get cameras and a security system on that house, if there isn't one already. Tell her that she's right. She does have a child to take care of. The operative word here is she. You don't have a child to care for, and her child is not your responsibility. However, if you want to do something nice for him, you could set up a trust in his name that only he'll have access to when he's 18. But it's up to you. Unfortunately, sometimes the sins of the father do affect the son. Sort of, but if OP's grandmother had wanted to do that, then she could have set that up for them in her will, but she didn't. Someone's will is exactly that. Their will, their wishes and choices, just written down for when they're not around to express them in person. And the obvious thing to do with someone's choices is to respect them. So there's an interesting question here about who should inherit, but OP's grandmother already answered it. My 37 female, sister Missy, teen, is actually my older sister's sister. My older sister and I share the same mother, and I'm the product of an affair. My stepdad raised me and maintained a relationship after he divorced my mother. My stepfather passed away almost a year ago. I was supporting his household. Missy's mother hates me and always says, "You're not my child's sister." I supported the household, including her older son, 24. When my stepfather passed, I tried to maintain contact and help as much as I could, but after the funeral, they cut ties with me. I would try to call Missy, and it would go to voicemail. I maintained the contract on the phone and paid for the service. I did notice if the phone was still being used, but I just figured her mother didn't want her talking to me. Missy reached out this week, asking if I would help them move, because the mother's boyfriend is, quote, acting crazy. I offered her a place to stay, and she stated, "We just need the money to move or one of your rentals. My mom hates you." I asked her if this was why she didn't reach out until now, and she said, "My text and calling don't always work." I said my offer to stay with me was on the table, but I could not give more money. Missy's mother called me saying I'm trying to steal her daughter, and I should want to help them. I offered her a job managing my rentals, but she said she would never work for me. I answered the call and went for a run. I came back to floods of calls and texts from my family, asking why I was refusing to help my sister, saying, "You won't allow your gay sister in your home?" Saying that I'm an idiot and want to see them homeless. I didn't know my sister was gay, nor would I have cared. I sent my sister a message saying, "I cannot help you or your mother. I will maintain the phone until you're 18, but you'll either have to pay for it yourself or pay me. No matter what, I love you for who you are, but please never contact me again." My older sister said that I'm being an idiot because I'm bitter Missy won't come live with me. The reality is, I actually never wanted her to live with me. I just really don't want to support her mother, brother, or anyone else. Am I the idiot? Edit. Missy's mother has hated me since I was a teen. I wasn't welcome at the wedding because she felt that I'd set a bad example for the future. I'm assuming that this was related to my mother's affair. She's called me every name under the sun, and I let it go until I was about 24. I snapped and said, "I did some unsavory crap, but I've apologized." However, she's maintained that attitude. "You're a witch and I hate you." My biological father wasn't the greatest, but he left me a hefty trust. This provided the house Missy and her family lived in until my father died. Her mother decided to move and asked me to sell the house and give Missy half. The day I said no, contact stopped. My older sister spends a lot of time with Missy, but will not give her a single penny. She will buy her an outfit here or there. I called CPS to do a welfare check, and they said they would investigate. My older sister has doubled down on me being an idiot. I ended the call by asking her to move out of my rental or start paying rent. Not the idiot. You tried to keep contact with them, and they cut you off without reason, and then only contact you now for money. Screw that. I don't see how Missy's mom can say, "You're not my child's sister," and exclude you from the family, but still expect you to give them your hard-earned money. They're in a desperate situation, and instead of immediately taking you up on the job offer and housing, they decide to be choosing beggars. It's their fault, not yours. Tell your older sister and every single family member who calls you to scold you. I offered them a place to stay in my home. They said no. However, I'm so glad you can take them in and give them money. They must be so happy with your offer of help. I'm happy you can help them right now, and I'm sure they'll be even more grateful as they don't hate you. Your mental health will be so much better without them. Time to cut the strings entirely, in my honest opinion. No more money, no more contact. They're takers. You had no obligation to support them at all. Update. You all are right. I've allowed some of the most toxic people into my life. None of these people are my family, including my older sister. I changed my number this morning. Then I spoke with my mother, and I explained to her, if she gives my number to any of them, she will be cut off as well. Thank you all. I am not a big eater. I like going out with friends and enjoying a reasonable meal with a beer or two. My friends go nuts. They order $100 meals and appetizers with different sides. When the bill comes, they always just say to split it evenly. So I end up paying 3 times my meal cost, and they each save a few dollars. We can all afford this. No one's going broke from these meals, but I don't think it's fair. I've mentioned a few times that we should get separate bills, but they never agree. The last time we went out, I was meeting my girlfriend afterward for a movie. She's not the biggest fan of my friends, so she didn't join us, but I knew I had a ride home. I noticed that our restaurant had a really interesting cocktail menu, so as I enjoyed my burger and fries, I enjoyed a few drinks. When the bill came, my total was about $250, which is about $200 more than I usually top out at. We split the bill, but they were all giving me a side eye. One of them texted me and said I was an idiot for padding the bill like that, and if I did it again, he would insist that we have individual bills. I texted everyone and asked if they all felt the same. They did, so I apologized and agreed that when we went out, I'd pay my own bill. My girlfriend thinks I'm right in proving my point, but I'm still feeling resentment from my friends. That's so funny. If you do that again, we'll do what you asked before and get separate bills? Not the idiot, and well played. It was fine until you turned the tables. They knew what they were doing, and for the life of me, I don't know why you would be friends with people like that. Yeah, OP needs to lose these friends. They took advantage of you, didn't listen when you made the point of paying your own bills, and now they're forcing you to stop, or they'll separate the bills individually. Sounds like they were using you to get cheaper meals. Sounds like the girlfriend is a pretty good judge of character. OP's cheekiness is deliciously well played. I loathe bill-splitting shenanigans with folks who knowingly order extravagant meals or pricey drinks while expecting others to help foot the cost. Honestly, I wouldn't be friends with these users.